Haunt me, Daddy.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome to
Haunt Me, Daddy.
I'm William Brooks, and I have daddy issues.
I'm Gibson Carter, and I see dead people. No, I wish.
Welcome back. This is week 4 of Haunt Me, Daddy. In our recording timeline, this is about a week before the end of the election. So that's kind of where we're at.
You know, I'm super excited today.
Why?
Because we have our first guest.
Ooh, our first guest.
He's here.
He's here, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
wonder where he is.
Hey, it's me. I'm here.
Oh
I've been here the whole time.
Oh my
Surprise.
God. You scared
weird.
me.
How weird.
This is our roommate, Daniel.
Hi, it's me.
Daniel.
I'm Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel is a person,
So far, so good.
and he is not dead that we know of.
Yet. Oh,
correct.
No, that's dark.
And he lives
Jesus.
in the same apartment as us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I've been here for all of the episodes. I just wasn't saying anything. I was
Yeah.
just in the other room listening.
standing in the
Oh.
corner watching.
Exactly. Standing glassy-eyed in the corner, watching you guys
Beautiful.
talk for a few hours.
Yeah.
As I do.
As you do.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to our show.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming on. You guys have known each other much longer. Like, we just met, became
Yeah.
Yes.
friends pretty recently.
Well, friends is, I don't know, that's a strong term.
Ooh.
Ouchie.
Yeah, but Will and I went to college together, so we've known each other for a while. We lived together.
I remember that little bright-eyed
Yeah.
kid. Yeah, because I'm a year older.
Yeah.
No, just a year. I'm a
year.
year older, and I remember he came to visit the college campus, and we met.
When I was a high school senior,
was a
we
high
met.
school
Oh my
senior.
gosh,
I
a
went to his
baby.
high school senior award show, and saw him do the things. Didn't really know who he was. Little did I know.
Little did you know.
He would never leave me alone.
50
I followed
years
you
later.
all the way to New York.
We were
And
roommates.
to 2 different apartments.
Yes, this is the second time we've lived together because we both moved to New York City, got a horrible apartment together.
It was amazing. It was beautiful. I don't know what you're talking
To paint
about.
a picture,
I loved
I think when you turned on the oven or stove, a beautiful colony of
a couple cockroaches. They
would
would
come
crawl
out.
out.
La
Yeah.
cucaracha?
It was
Mhm.
beautiful.
Yikes.
But then I moved out into the apartment we're in now, and then, got some new roommates, and then they left me, and then I was like, Daniel,
Whoa.
any interest in an apartment without cockroaches?
And I said, of course. And we upgraded from cockroaches to mice.
Yeah.
It's just one. There's just one.
Just one mouse.
Just one little cutie.
Little guy.
You know.
But here we are, doing the things
And
today.
I'm honored to be the very first ever guest
I'm excited
Yes.
to see
on Haunt
what
Me
you have
Daddy.
to tell us.
I'm ready to haunt.
Yeah.
The
My
weather
daddy.
today was not to bring up the weather, but it was really nice out.
Oh.
Nice and rainy, but then it stopped raining and it was nice and cold out.
It's a spooky vibe today.
It's
Mhm.
a
I like
spooky
it.
vibe. It's a beautiful walk today. We've got our popcorn. We've got the black flame candle going at
Yeah.
it.
I can hear the candle
Mhm.
from over here burning, like
It's like a
across the room.
Little fireplace
Little
with the
wooden
It's probably-
wick.
Probably gonna
Very
be
nice.
Campfire. It may or may not. Put it up to the
Can
microphone.
you hear this beautiful candle?
ASMR.
But yeah, it's a great candle.
I'm so
I'd
sorry, all my
recommend.
friends with misophonia.
Oh no!
Should we get started with some?
Yeah,
some
I
ghost
first
stories?
wanted to
Let's
just
jump into
yeah.
it.
ask you, did you always have any interest, as a kid? Did you like scary movies? Do you like Halloween? How do you feel about
Oh, man.
the spooky season?
So, For me, personally, the spooky season was always more of a build-up to the Christmas season.
Oh, okay.
Christmas is, like, my shit. Can I swear?
Oh my gosh,
It's
please
my
do.
shit.
Daniel, you can leave now. No swearing on this show.
This is a pious show.
But I always loved Halloween. I always loved spooky stuff.
What were you for Halloween one year? Name one.
One year, I was
Just one.
giant Lego brick. 1 year.
Just a brick.
Just a brick. Not like a
like
Lego man
okay.
or like a play set or anything, but just like the brick.
That is terrifying.
I think
They
that
can
is
injure
terrifying.
you terribly.
But that also describes you perfectly.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. But I was always like kind of a skeptic with the ghost stuff. I was like, I don't know if this is, if there's any merit to that at all. But then, like, I'm also very easily scared. Mm-hmm. So I am quickly made into a believer at any moment. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
Nice.
So yeah.
Ghost-wise, last week we talked about the ghosts I encountered in college.
Yeah.
Oh my
god.
God.
So you are kind of familiar.
Auditorium ghosts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're kind of familiar with those ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
You were in a lot of the shows.
You were in a lot of the shows.
You discussed.
You were a part of one of them where I did see ghosts.
That was during Assassins, right?
I basically saw ghosts on all the shows.
Good.
There was one, the big ghost was 1776.
Yes,
which
I remember that
We're
story.
not on, but the other one was Young Frankenstein.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Good times. So
yeah, that theater was definitely one of those places where I was like, I'm a brave boy. These ghosts aren't gonna scare me. And then I would be alone in the auditorium, and there would be a noise, or I would see the ghost light, and I would immediately be like, if there's any ghosts in here, I didn't mean it. Don't worry, you guys.
it was probably me in the corner laughing.
You're like fucking with the light board.
right.
Well, because also in college, I never talked about this, but in theater, you have like, some people call it the God mic.
Yes.
So basically, I can talk on a mic in the small little booth, and it goes...
And it changes your voice to Morgan Freeman's voice.
Exactly.
Right? No? Oh.
And it goes throughout the entire theater and the fitting rooms and all of that. So occasionally, depending on the actor, I would go on the God mic.
Get on the God mic. This is your conscience speaking.
Yeah. There was one time when we did a show, and I definitely was like, I'm just going to tell jokes over the God mic. So I definitely started doing like some dad jokes themed with what I think Young Frankenstein, I did a bunch of like Frankenstein Halloween jokes. Anyway,
we're getting off track. We're just
setting
walking
the table,
down memory lane.
Yeah, so ghosts.
Have you seen
some
one?
spooks,
Have you
some spook-em-ups?
prepared a little ditty for us today?
I have. Well, I prepared a bit of a anthology, kind of.
Okay,
It's like a series of stories leading up to the time that I believe that I saw a ghost, but there are some things leading up to it that sort of reinforce it, I think.
Gotcha. Setting the stage.
Setting the stage, exactly. So I thought I would start off pretty chill and upbeat with my grandfather's death. So
Chill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. A wonderful place to start.
With respect.
With respect. Love you, Pop-Up. So when I was in the 3rd grade, my grandpa, my mother's dad, got sick with pancreatic cancer.
Oh wow.
And so if you have never known anyone that has pancreatic cancer, it's like a very debilitating cancer specifically because your body kind of like you kind of wither away because the digestion that the pancreas assists in is compromised, and so your body can't absorb the nutrients and stuff. And if Steve Jobs, when he passed away, he had pancreatic cancer. And so you see pictures of him like slowly getting thinner and weaker.
Right.
And that's the sort of disease that he had. So
Awful.
you can imagine he was in the hospital for several months. And we were back and forth from the hospital visiting him and seeing different family members. And my parents and my uncle and aunt would take turns spending the night with him. And so
How are you with hospitals?
I'm not a big fan of hospitals.
Not many people
How are you
are.
with hospitals?
You know, they're not my favorite.
Okay.
But I often am the person who goes to spend the night with friends and stuff in the emergency room. So, like, it doesn't really bother me that much anymore. But I would never, ever want to
I always find it interesting.
deal with that. That's awful.
I always find it interesting to, like, see who's, like, fine with... Like, I grew up in a hospital. Like, I was, like, premature, and, like, so, like, up until, like, I was, like, 8, I was in and out of the hospital, like, constantly. And then my mother also worked in a hospital.
Right.
So, it was just, like, my
familiar.
It's very familiar. So, I'm kind of like, oh, in a hospital, So...
For me, it's, like, unsettling.
Okay.
I do not like hospital. And, you know, probably connected to this event.
Sure.
For sure.
But, yeah, so...
Grade. How old are you?
I was,
10?
9 or 10 in 3rd grade. This was in, like, 2003, 2004. So that would make me...
So you'd be like, if you're like
8
5
or
when
9?
you start kindergarten, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Quick math, quick math.
9,
8,
9, 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere in that range. Little. I was little.
A little baby.
But there were several times over the months that we were visiting him that he would tell stories about seeing loved ones like in the room with him, or there would be like empty chairs in the room when family members were there, and he would say there were like angels in the empty chairs, and he would give all of these stories about seeing people that weren't there, which is like, you know, it's a pretty common thing for people when they're close to death, depending on what your belief system is or whatever. People will say it's like hallucinations or like a heightened dream state or the afterlife or whatever. And I was actually reading into the phenomenon of like seeing loved ones before you die in preparing for this episode. And it was really interesting, just the different theories and different like brain functionality like mechanisms that go into it. Like the one quote that I saw was from Christopher Kerr, who's the CEO for hospice, and what is the hospice care like company, whatever that is.
Yeah,
Hospice Co. I don't know what you call it.
Let's go.
I didn't know. I thought hospice was just like you're not gonna make it.
I think it's like
chill out. I
a
didn't realize it was
Kleenex
a company.
type
Maybe-
deal where
yeah,
it's
it's
like,
like there's
there's a
probably
company called Hospice, but
An Association of
hospice-esque.
America
Wow.
type of thing.
I think that's what it is.
That's
I
a
could be
game
wrong.
changer. Okay.
Well, somebody had to be the person to set up all of that,
That's a good
Right.
point.
you know, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I want to be that to something. I would like.
The hospice to something.
I just want to make something.
I want to
that's
be
like,
the hospice care.
Kleenexes,
Hospice
and then it's
person.
like right, but Kleenexes are technically tissues.
You want to be like, oh, someone go grab the Will Brooks from the kitchen.
Exactly.
You want to, yeah.
That's exactly what
You're
I
a
wanna be.
trash can.
I would love nothing more than to be a trash can. A trash can, or like, what's something gay?
Do you want to go down this rabbit hole?
Yes, I do.
Anyway, back to
back
his
to your
grandfather.
grandfather.
Speaking of
disrespectful.
gay, my grandfather.
Oh.
Who's to say? Basically, all of that to say, the idea of people seeing loved ones before they die, or seeing angels before they die, or having some like feeling of connection to the afterlife is very common.
Sure.
And this Hospice Co. guy, Christopher Kerr, he said it's a built-in mechanism of serenity for your brain to sort of minimize the fear of death the closer to death that you get. Which I found interesting. That it's sort of like a
comfort
psychological.
yourself.
Yeah, it's like a safety net that your brain just sort of, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
But that was my first experience with any kind of like weird afterlife stuff. And even as a kid, I was kind of skeptical of like ghost stories or like afterlife stuff. Even like the biblical stuff that I heard. Mm-hmm. When I heard my grandpa was seeing angels, I was like, is he really though?
Yeah.
But it was notable because after he passed away, there was a Relay for Life event that we all did in honor of him. And Relay for Life, if you don't know, it's like a fundraising event where you walk around a track and you make teams to fundraise for different charities. And,
right.
We did one for pancreatic cancer in honor of my grandpa. And my brother, while we were at this event, which was probably, I want to say like a year later, we were walking around the track on the second day, and placed all around the inside like perimeter of the track, there were candles. And the candles were all supposed to represent people who had been lost to cancer, and they all had names on them. And on the second day, we were walking around the track, and all of the candles had gone out because they had been lit for probably 24, 36 hours. And my brother found one candle on the track that was still burning. And the one candle that was still lit did not have a name on it. Ooh. And so he dubbed it the... I cannot say...
Oh, no.
It's just so ridiculous. It's so funny to me thinking back. But he said, "This is the candle of hope for everyone." And he went to my mom and he said, "This is the candle of hope for everyone, Mom."
Oh my God.
And my mom told like an event organizer, and my brother got an award for the candle of hope for everyone. And it became like this little mini symbol at this event. Yeah.
So
but
on the second night.
On night 2, we were walking around the track again, and my brother said that behind the candle that was still lit, he saw a figure. He saw like an angel, essentially. And he said it looked like our grandpa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it was like, the way he described it was like a younger version of my grandpa, where he had like a full head of hair, and he was not as like pallid from the cancer as we remembered him. My brother is not one to make things up for attention. So him saying that, we all kind of had a moment of like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And especially considering for like weeks and weeks when he was in the hospital, he was saying that he was seeing these figures, and it was this moment of like, oh, we kind of feel like he's watching over us, or he's like congratulating his grandson for this little acknowledgement of him.
Right.
Which was lovely.
A guardian angel.
A guardian angel.
Have you guys... I'm sorry, I keep thinking
of
these angels. Have you guys seen that film with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan, where Nicolas Cage is an angel? And like...
What?
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Nicolas Cage is an angel?
Think of the movie.
Oh, I bet his wig is great in that movie.
Basically, the whole premise is these angels are, they show up to like guide people to, die. And, but they don't feel anything. They don't like have any, I guess, emotions, like all these things. And he like sees Meg Ryan and like, it's like, ooh, I want to be a part of this world. And
like,
so,
oh, she's hot. Let me go haunt her.
Because basically you can like, angels, I guess, like can like jump off a building and like become human.
I'm sorry.
You need to see this movie.
Mixed
it's
messages
here. Fucking crazy. It's crazy.
What is it called?
But I need to look it up. But point of the story is, if I was in a hospital room and I saw fucking Nicolas Cage standing over my bed, I would just be like, are you fucking kidding me? Not even like...
Hey, Nick! Imagine
like,
seeing an
hey.
angel
And it's
and you're dying.
Nicolas Cage.
It's
No,
Nicolas
thank
Cage.
you. That's funny. Wow.
Okay,
I think we should put that on the list.
Yeah, whatever it
We need to watch
is,
that
I would
movie.
love to watch.
Are we sure this isn't sequel to the Da Vinci Code,
No,
Angels and Demons?
That's what
Is
I
that
thought
what
you
we're
were
talking
gonna
about
say.
here?
It's
Angels and
called
Demons.
City of
Of
Angels.
Angels.
Boo.
No!
Does it take place in LA?
It does take place in LA. It's actually, I believe, well, it takes place in California. I'm not sure if it's in LA, but I assume.
It's the City of Angels.
It's,
so.
yeah, I'm sure it's gotta be.
Apparently, it's a remake of a classic film that I
Interesting.
don't know the name of, but yeah. So
Wow.
that's what I think of. Side note. When I
Wow.
think of, when people say they see angels, I think of that movie, and I think of people seeing Nicolas Cage and going, okay.
Oh, God.
Right.
Like, all right.
Wow.
Anyway.
Anyway, yeah, so those are, that's just sort of a little bit of backstory
Yeah.
on this,
Your journey with
my
the ghosts.
upcoming ghost story.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my journey with ghosts. Basically, leading up to this, there were, from various places in my life, stories of people seeing ghosts or guardian angels or figures or whatever you want to call them. And this was something that I was thinking a lot about at the time, trying to figure out what it means.
Right.
Naturally, because
What it means to see angels?
yeah, what it means to like
What are they?
see, yeah, what are they? What does it
Why?
mean? Is it real? And all of these things. And then fast forward to, I believe it was in 2006. So this is 2 years after he passed away. I was living in Canfield, Ohio, which is one of the, like, just for context, like an eastmost county in Ohio. Is right on the border of Pennsylvania. It's where Youngstown, Ohio is. It was 5 miles, I think, like southwest of Youngstown.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of ghost stories around Mill Creek Park and Youngstown and areas surrounding this.
How far is it from Grafton, Ohio?
From Grafton, Ohio?
The village of
I
Grafton.
don't know. I don't remember
Okay.
Black River or
Okay,
whatever you guys were
understood.
talking about in that
Oh,
first
yeah.
episode. Was that what it was? The Black Creek or
No,
Black
it's
River?
the Black River.
Yeah,
Black
and
River.
on Elm
On
Street.
Elm Street.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. As if to perfectly set up a creepy, creepy town.
So Black River, perfect.
Perfect. Cut, print. But this, as far as I'm aware and as far as I could find looking into it, there are no hauntings or sightings or any kind of paranormal whatever connected to anywhere in, like, Canfield, Ohio. It is decidedly a very boring place to live.
Okay.
Old North Church is where, growing up, where me and my family went for like 11 or 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And just to further reinforce the not hauntedness of this church, because there wasn't really a precedent for these kinds of sightings, is what
Right.
I'm...
It wasn't a creepy old church
Right,
in the
right.
middle of town.
It was actually, the weird thing was, the church was started in like the 30s. They bought
Okay.
some old church building for like $500, and they started a church
lot
with
of dough
20
back then.
people.
Hey, 500.
I was looking into the history of this church.
What kind of church
And
is it? So, like, what denomination?
It was
I'm just curious.
Baptist.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I was looking into the history of it, and I just had to share this picture because it's
Oh,
so funny to
no.
me. The original church building they bought, and then they wanted, as the congregation got bigger, they wanted to have a bigger plot of land for the church. And so instead of buying a new building or expanding the land around the church and buying out, the surrounding acres or whatever, I don't know what the landscaping situation was, but what they decided to do was put the church on wheels and move it across town.
So here's what we're not
take
gonna do.
Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else. What?
I just don't like that. They said, how about a church on wheels?
How about a church on wheels? So they uprooted the entire church.
That is so expensive.
I know.
Like you see the shows now, like Fixer Upper every now and then, or how those shows on HGTV or whatever will take a house and the people are like, we want to move this house to another place and redo it there. And it's always like, are you sure?
Right.
It's really risky. It's really expensive. All these things can happen. And in the that looks pretty old-timey.
So I can't imagine. I think this happened in the 50s or 60s, maybe, when
that's
they
what it
moved
looks
No one
like.
had cell phones. No one had
People just showed up and said, "Where'd the church go?"
What are we gonna do now?
That's crazy. Okay. Weird.
Right. So they had the original church building, then they moved the church, and then they built on more of an annex around the church. And then in 1999, they built an entirely new building. So this is
it was
7 years.
All for nothing.
It was all for nothing. And I don't even know. Maybe they've torn down the old church now. I don't know. But they got rid of it.
No, they just moved it to another location.
They shipped it across the country.
They sent it to a second
somewhere
location.
Not a secondary
We're going
location. Oh, no. Listen, sister. You're not getting me to no secondary location.
But they did.
But they did with the church. But all of that to say, the church was 7 years old.
Right.
It was not like an old creepy church. There weren't any stories of the pastor still walks the halls today. And there were no ghost sightings. So there was none of that influencing me trying to convince myself that I saw something or anything like that. So we're at a lockdown. Right?
Oh,
I don't know if you ever had those church lockdowns where everyone gets their sleeping bags.
Oh, yeah. Nobody sleeps.
Nobody sleeps.
I was
you
a
play
counselor
flashlight tag.
for one of those.
Were you really?
In high school. And let me tell you something right now. Please say thank you to your counselors at these lockdowns. It is the worst experience ever because it was teens. And then preteens and young teens, and then me as a senior in high school, having to deal with screaming and running around and going crazy for hours on end. And I was just I want to go to bed.
I just want to know who was we need to think of an event. What are we gonna do? And someone
said, was Jesus.
What about a lockdown?
What about we lock all these kids in the church?
It's basically the parents are we want a free night together.
Oh, literally.
No kids.
Literally.
I remember I went to a lockdown in, I want to say it was maybe freshman, sophomore year of high school. And I went to a friend's church and we did this lockdown and it was quote unquote rave New Year's lockdown.
Yeah.
No.
And there was a place for sleeping and a place for raving and then a place for the celebration.
Here's the rave room.
For raving.
And then
the rave room of the show. Everyone pick up their pacifiers and their lollipops.
Everybody get their drug bag.
Yeah. So they had this big event and you're oh wow, we're gonna celebrate New Year's. And then all these people got their friends to come because it was just gonna be this big event. You think it's great, and they tricked you.
Oh no!
Because 30 minutes before the ball dropped, they're okay, everyone, come sit down. We're gonna have a service,
worship time.
Well, yeah, worship time.
Worship.
So then we sang songs and had a lesson taught to us. I said, I came to party, and you tried to teach me.
Oh, yeah.
about the Lord Jesus.
That's part of it. You lock them in the room so they can't get
They
out.
can't go nowhere.
They can't
did
get
not
out.
go anywhere.
They're going to sing Our God is an Awesome God 10 times more.
See, to the credit of this church, it was all like dodgeball, video games.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
You know, snacks and whatever.
They're fun.
They were a fun church, you know.
Yeah.
They had a GameCube in the other room with Legend of Zelda Wind Waker on it, and like, you know,
One of the only games I was like good at.
they were a cool church.
I played the Scooby-Doo Haunted Mansion game.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. And that's about the
Scooby-Doo.
only video game I ever played. So.
Great.
Oh. We were talking about
Weird
games.
flex, but okay. Will's just trying to relate to us gamers over here.
Yeah, I'm such a gamer.
Okay, Animal Crossing Bros. So you had a lockdown.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So I had a lockdown, right? And it was the layout of the church was they had a gymnasium, you know, like many cool churches do, and it was like sleeping bags in the gymnasium, and then there was a little kitchen and some bathrooms and like a game room off to one side, and then the other direction was this long hallway that just sort of went around. It was like the center hallway of the church, and off of it were like offices and Bible study rooms and the chapel and all of these different things. And so one of the games that we were playing while we were there was we were doing flashlight tag throughout the whole church. And so they turned off all the lights, and there were like 5 people who were it, and they had flashlights, and everyone ran, and they had a 5-minute head start or whatever, and they hid. And
I'm already scared.
yeah.
I know you say it's a new church and nothing spooky's happening there.
That sounds scary to me.
But I can't trust that.
No. And it was like pitch black, like 3 a.m. This was like later in the night.
The witching hour.
The witching hour. And so naturally, I like take off down this hallway, and at first I like hide in the side room, and there were like 70 or 80 kids at this lockdown. So I went into the side room, and there were already a couple people in there, and I was like, I don't want to be around other people. I want to.
Yeah, you
I want to
loser.
make it to the end.
I'm a winner.
I don't want to be exactly like you guys. Classic horror movie failure here. I'm not going to be caught in the group. And so I went in there and I left, and then I went towards the like front entrance, and I hid behind like the reception desk at the front of the church, and I was hiding back there, and I'm sitting behind this desk with all the, you know, paper and staplers, and I'm just hanging out. And then I hear, like, down the hall, I hear this scream. Not like a spooky scream. It wasn't a spooky scream, but it was like one of the kids got caught down the hall. Scream.
No, I got caught.
Exactly. And so I heard that down the hall, and I was like, I gotta find a new hiding spot. They're coming straight down this hallway. They got their flashlights, and I'm at the front entrance of the building, and so to one side is like the glass doors that go outside that are locked, and the other side is the front doors that go into the chapel. And just for some context, some pictures of the chapel, like this, let's see, this is like the front entrance of the building.
This is much bigger than I was picturing in my mind.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
It was like a complex, and this is what the chapel looks like on the inside.
Wow.
So I came into the chapel from these doors here.
Ooh.
And again, it's pitch black.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And I open up the door, and I like close it quietly behind me. And I hear from outside in the hallway, I hear people running down past where I was hiding, and they come by and go the other direction. And I was like, yes, I'm still in the game.
Yes.
And then I start hearing, I don't know how I would describe the sound, but it was like echoey, like this echoey humming. Sort of like the closest thing that I could compare it to from what I remember is like a fluorescent light. It was that kind of like a
Kind of like that electricity kind of in the air, kind of hum.
Okay. Exactly. And so I turn around, and probably like 50 feet away from me, at the front of the chapel, is this like very dimly kind of fluorescent human figure.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. No ham, no turkey.
Jesus?
And it was Jesus himself.
Jesus.
He said, "What's up?" "What's up, dudes? It's me, JC." But it was not bright enough that like I didn't notice until I turned around. But I turned around, and it was like this glowing figure
that looked like Nicolas Cage.
And it was Nicolas Cage.
I would die.
At first I thought it was Jesus, but then I realized, common mistake,
Jesus.
It was Nicolas Cage.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I turn around, and it was coming down from the stage, down like the right-hand side, down these stairs. And I turned around, and I didn't say anything. I was just sort of like, because, you know, that's what you do when you're scared.
Yeah.
And it stopped for a second. It didn't turn and look or anything. It didn't acknowledge that I was there, but it was moving, like floating along, and then it stopped. And then it kept moving. And it went like back and around out the doors to like the backstage of the church.
No.
What?
That was just Jesus rehearsing for when he arrives.
I need some clarity. Okay, so like, did it have like the shape of a human body, or was it just like a blob?
Well, here's the thing. From what I'm remembering, it looked a lot like what my brother described to me.
Oh.
But it wasn't like a orb of light or anything. It was like, it looked like someone in robes. It was a man, taller, with like shorter hair. I could see, I mean, I was like 50 feet away, but I could see that it was like...
You could tell it was a guy.
A guy. It was a guy.
Wow.
And I don't know why, but the feeling that I had when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, that's my grandpa.
Ugh.
That was like what I felt in that moment. And I can't explain why I thought that was him, because it didn't look like him how I remember him. But in the moment, I knew that it was him.
Wow.
And...
Oh, that gave me a little chill.
Yeah, and so I sat there in the chapel for a moment. I had a little cry because I was scared.
Yeah.
And then I came out, and I immediately went specifically seeking out one of the people who was it, and because I was like, I'm done with the game. Tag me out. I want to go home.
You came out, and they were all waiting, and they said, "You are the winner."
But no, I was done. I was done with the game. I went back. I crawled to my sleeping bag, and I was like, I think that's it for tonight.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I never told my parents or anything. I've told that story like in passing as my ghost story in the past. I'm like, yeah, I think I saw my grandpa once.
Right.
But that is like the one and only time that I can remember seeing any kind of like afterlife-y angel question mark
Wow.
spirit. And it always just stuck with me that at the end of his life, he was like seeing people that were like, quote unquote, reaching out to him from the afterlife.
Right.
And then he apparently like reached out to all of us at various points in time. So that always stuck with me.
Interesting.
I think that's really beautiful.
Not the spookiest ghost story.
They don't
but it's
all have to
very
be scary.
heartwarming.
I like it though because we've talked about like spooky stuff, and I mean, not all of it is negative. I don't think. I've definitely had moments in my life where I felt, a connection to a loved one who's passed on or something, and it's a scary but comforting thing. It's funny. I'll probably talk about it more when my mom comes on as a guest, but my grandfather saw ghosts.
Oh, no way.
His whole life, and so I've always like connected ghost stuff and my interest with him, so it's kind of cool that
it's the crazy thing about ghost stories, because like I don't know, I've heard said about ghosts that there are some that attach themselves to places and some that attach themselves to people.
Yeah.
And so there's just such a wide range of experiences to be had where they can be like very, very personal. They can be like very comforting, or they can be like unsettling and creepy and unfamiliar.
Well, I think the
they
other
can
thing
be
is,
on a boat.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is like, is there a difference in ghosts? Because like it sounds like what you're describing, it sounds very different from any experience I've ever had of like what I've seen. So I'm kind of like, are there categories of different ghosts out there?
Right.
There's the spooky ones. There's the ones that are there to haunt. There are the ones with unfinished business. There are the ones with a hey, goodbye.
Yeah.
And like,
you got your ghosts, you got your ghouls, you got your spooks.
What's going on? What's going on out there?
What's going on with all these ghosts?
All these ghosts. So
Wow.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's very cool.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah,
That
thank
was
you for
fun.
sharing. That was very like personal.
You're very welcome.
Wow. I'm just picturing it because I spent so much time in churches, like doing events like that. I'm like, if my little scared ass walked into the church and saw something glowing on the stage, I'd be like, Jesus, and I would have stayed religious probably.
Then what's his face from
I would have been convinced it was
the Da Vinci Code?
it was Mary herself or some shit. That's crazy.
Mary, is that you?
Mary, did you know?
Oh no!
Oh, anyway, moving
I
on.
sang that song in 7th grade for a like voice lesson Christmas recital.
Oh,
Boy,
God.
oh boy.
And
I did a
halfway
number of
through-
those too.
Wow.
Wow.
Cool. All right. Is it my turn, I guess?
I passed the torch
Oh
to you.
my
It's your turn.
gosh.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Another exciting thing in our episode journey is we're moving on from interview to we've gotten some people who have reached out to us to give us some of their ghost stories.
Yeah.
So I'm very
Listener submissions?
Yes.
you said?
Yes.
But I'm very
What?
excited because I haven't heard this.
It sounds so fancy.
So yeah, let's take let's take a listen.
I'm super excited because I'm just excited anyone's even like listening and supporting us. That's very
Right.
cool. But yeah, I kind of put it out there on social media. Like if any of my friends know anyone or have their own spooky story, like let me know. And so my friend Alison Massari, hey girl.
What's up, Allison?
Yeah, she messaged me, and we have a lot of mutual friends in Charleston, and my friends Clyde and Addie worked with her. So, yeah, she sent us an email with a spooky story about a residence hall at the College of Charleston.
Oh, no.
Where I
The most
also went.
haunted place ever. I don't like this.
Yeah. So this, I'm going to read her email and also go into a little bit about this residence hall. And then I also have a little extra spooky story from a friend as well.
Oh.
Her little story is about Barry Residence Hall, Joe E. Barry Residence Hall. I don't know who Joey was, but
Was it Joe E. Barry or Joey Barry?
It's Joe, capital E period.
Okay, so middle name E.
R-R-Y.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. That was very important to me, that bit of information. Thank you.
Yeah, I mostly went into the haunted history of it because, like, none of us really care. I'm so sorry, Mr. Barry. I just don't really care about you. I care more
what your
about...
middle name is, and frankly, I don't care.
I don't care. I care more about the children that haunt this place.
The what?
Yes.
No.
So, on campus, this is, like, known to be the haunted dorm. Like, everybody knows that Barry is haunted as fuck. It's also haunted by the smaller dining hall, which is disgusting. So that's attached to this place as well. It's called City Bistro, but we all call it Shitty Bistro because it makes you poop.
Okay.
And they had a rat problem once. Anyway, don't sue me. It was true. So this guy named Ed Macy, who graduated the college in 1991, wrote a book about a lot of different places in Charleston and the campus being haunted, but this residence hall is a big part of it. It's called Haunted Charleston, Stories from the College of Charleston, the Citadel, and the Holy City. And he said about the dorms, quote, "Every Barry resident I've spoken to has the same reaction. It's a real thing, and if you don't believe me, then you're a fool."
Ooh.
Oh, sassy. Sassy Ed. So I'm just going to go ahead and read Alison's story because she did a little of the homework for me, which is awesome.
Good.
So she says, when I was a freshman in college attending CFC, I lived in a dorm called Barry Residence Hall. The dorm was built on the same grounds as the old Charleston orphan house.
Absolutely not.
Right away. I'm terrified. So back in 1917, during the Spanish influenza, the orphan house was teeming with children. And one day, some of the kids that weren't sick were out in the yard innocently playing with fire. You know, kid stuff.
Hold on. Innocent? Is there a way to innocently... Because I've played with fire in the past.
It's not innocent.
No, it's like pretty inherently dangerous.
It's like rule number 1 for kids, don't play with matches. And in this case, don't play with some oily rags that you find in the yard.
Oh my god. It sounds like, I don't want to get ahead of the story here, but did they accidentally make Molotov cocktails?
Honestly, that's kind of exactly what happened. Oily rags and like matches, I guess, led to a fire. They start a fire and it quickly gets out of control because it's 1917, 1918. So, like, obviously there wasn't a little fire extinguisher on hand.
I think they invented water, so I think maybe it was probably out of control for them.
For sure.
Could have been tough.
Yeah. The fire gets out of control. It spreads through the whole building. And although the building was evacuated, 4 children did not get out in time and died of smoke inhalation.
Yikes.
So off to a great start here. So after Barry Residence Hall was built in 1991 and still to this day, all sorts of weird things. 1991.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so we went all the way forward to
the 1990s.
1990s. And the college just celebrated their 250th year anniversary. So, like, it's been around for a while, but the residence hall was built in 1991.
Gotcha.
And still to this day, weird things have been reported by residents, mostly noises like marbles running across the dorms above.
Of course.
Little kids laughing or singing in the halls, and countless false fire alarms. And that is really crazy because I lived in the dorm next door.
Okay.
Called McAllister, which also has a lot of creepy stories, but nothing ever happened to me except my roommate was fucking crazy. And we always had either Barry or us fire alarms like 4 or 5 times a week sometimes.
Oh my god.
In the middle of the night, just you stand outside and wait for like an hour in your towel. So, like, one time I was mid-shower and had to be out there in my towel.
And that, like, if that's not a ghost, that is a very dedicated prank.
Yeah.
To consistently, that's...
And
9
there's
times out
something
of
fishy
10,
going
it was
on
some
there.
drunk sorority bitch burning her Easy Mac in the microwave.
Oh,
like, that happened a lot.
Oh, no.
or incense burning, because that wasn't allowed.
Sounds good.
That does sound good right now. And another thing that people often heard was children chanting "Ring Around the Rosie."
Well, that song is about.
It's
about a plague.
This has been fun. I think I need to go.
Ashes, we all fall down, and it burned down. Yikes! Yikes! Yeah.
Oh my God! Wait, I never thought about the words of that song.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. So all of those things, I've had multiple friends tell me, including Allison's email, tell me, like, the marbles rolling across the floor is one of the things people tell me all the time that they would hear, or kids laughing. It was pretty standard if you lived there. So Allison goes on, fast forward to 2009, when I was just a sleep-deprived youngster doing my best to make friends, not piss off my goody-two-shoes roommate. Been there. One night, I woke up around 2 a.m. for no reason. Keep in mind, this was the era of my life where it took nothing short of a miracle to wake me from my slumber. This hasn't happened to me before, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't have to pee, and I wasn't thirsty, but I remember thinking, what do people normally do when they wake up at night? I guess I'll go get a glass of water. After retrieving the water and taking a few unsatisfying sips, I laid down to go back to bed. Just a few moments after shutting my eyes, I felt the bottom of my bed shake.
Oh no.
I sat straight up and looked to see what it was, and there was nothing there. I was paralyzed with fear and didn't know what to do. My heart was beating in my ears, and all my senses were on high alert. I looked over at my roommate and debated for a long time on whether or not I should wake her up. In the end, I didn't, because she had an 8 a.m. class in the next day. She would have been pissed.
Considerate of you, Allison.
Yes, right. Honestly, same, girl. So what did I do? After about 5 minutes, I laid back down and went to bed. LOL. Nothing happened after that until a year or two later when I was living in an apartment on Archdale Street. Again, I was woken on a school night. I remember I had an exam the next day because I woke up annoyed, like, what's going on? I need to sleep so I can be on my A game tomorrow. That was when I heard a little child giggle. My eyes popped open. The laugh had come from the balcony, which was right outside my window. I checked the time, and it was 3 a.m. I remember thinking, no fucking way, this is not happening. I tried to rationalize what I heard, convinced myself it was probably just a squirrel. I turned over in bed, tried to go back to sleep, and then I heard it again. Clear as day. A little child giggling right outside my fucking window.
I would have turned all the lights on.
I would have said goodbye Archdale Street, like,
I would have said
farewell.
goodbye Charleston.
For real.
I don't know what the deal is.
In the end, she went back to sleep again, and I'm like, I understand. Care about sleep more.
Get that sleep.
So, yeah. That's, thank you, Allison, for writing that in.
Yeah.
But that makes me think, like, what if the kids followed her to her next place?
They're orphans, and they get adopted.
Mommy.
Can we just all agree to, like, condemn Charleston, like, get a quarantine bubble from, like, when the NBA is done with it, we can just take their bubble and be like, this is the ghost zone, and no one else can go in.
Well, then that would be my entire hometown. I can never go back because it's all haunted as well.
Well, we all have to make sacrifices, Gibson.
Okay, all right, that's true.
That's fine.
That's true. So yeah, that is kind of like the first personal account that I had someone send to me. And Ed Macy, who I talked about earlier, who wrote the book, he said this too, which was interesting. I have spoken to at least 40 people, mostly female students, who have not only been awakened by the alarm and the singing, but have seen old-fashioned cursive writing on their bathroom mirror.
What?
Oh
what?
No.
Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness.
So that's fun. Yeah. Let me show you guys the what it looks like.
On a ghost podcast,
it doesn't look haunted or anything, obviously, but just for context.
The dorm?
This is the dorm.
It looks like a like a La Quinta.
It kind of does look like a La Quinta. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was one of the, it was fine. It was not, like, crazy fancy or anything, but. So, yeah, that's Barry. I also had a friend write to me on Facebook. My friend Jay wrote that when he was a freshman living in Barry, he and his girlfriend were like hanging out, and he would hear hanging out. Hey, he said he would hear laughing and marbles rolling all the time, and it was just pretty standard. But he said that high heels clicking on the floor above him, like every night, the same time, walking like the same path. Was really creepy.
Headmistress of that orphanage checking on the kids.
Right?
Walking up and down, making sure they're in bed.
Spooky.
Someone was practicing their drag routine.
Oh my gosh.
In the dorm
Sissy
above
that
him.
walk.
Sissy that walk.
Like, can you sissy that walk not at 3 a.m.?
Please, I'm
really
having 8 a.m. Please. So Jay said that was pretty normal, but one time he and his girlfriend were hanging out. He said they were both kind of studying, doing their own thing, and suddenly she like looked over him in the corner of the room, and her eyes got huge, and she flipped out and immediately ran over to the bed and got under the covers.
Okay.
And he was like, okay, what's happening? And she said, what's that black thing in the corner of the room?
Oh, I wouldn't turn around.
And he saw nothing.
Oh.
And to this day, she won't talk about it. He has no idea, but it really fucking freaked her out. And I'm like, ew.
If that happened,
Babadook.
If I was hanging out with my significant other and all of a sudden they like freak out, see something, go hide in their bed, I'd be like, right behind you.
I'm coming in.
Like, I don't know what's
Scooch over.
going on, but
I wouldn't.
But I'm into it.
Like, don't act like I'm gonna protect you. I'm gonna fucking die first. Like.
Yeah. So, you know, I've had a few friends tell me they've seen little kids, they've heard little kids, but to my surprise today, when I was kind of putting out feelers for stories about this residence hall, I was like, who do I know that worked there? Because that's, if you're a resident assistant at a place, you're going to see some shit because you're up all night. You know that dorm like the back of your hand. So I messaged my friend Stavro Najjar, and I was like, hey dude, you know, I know you worked there for a long time as an RA. If you have any stories, great. If not, no pressure. And he surprised me and said, yeah, I would love to do a phone call and tell you this story.
Oh, no.
And I was like, a phone call?
A phone call?
So
I'm ready.
Yeah, he allowed me to record the phone call.
Amazing. Are we going to listen to that now?
Yeah, do you guys want to listen to this?
Let's do it.
We're going to listen to Stavro tell a little ghost story.
It was weird, right? So, like, you know, for me at least, ghosts and the supernatural and whatnot, it's kind of like I respect you from a distance.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I know you're there, but that's all I'm going to acknowledge you as. Basically, the story goes, I had these residents when I was an RA at Barry, that they were my favorite residents, truly of like all time. They were super great. They'd always told me that their room in particular was haunted. I never got really any detail from them, and I just assumed it was the typical, right? The orphanage that burned down however many years ago next door,
right?
Created the hauntings, whatever, and there's marbles rolling on the floor that you'll hear above you, or you hear, you know, laughter of little kids. I was like, maybe that's what they're listening to, and they think their room specifically is haunted, whereas it's more so the entire building. So I didn't really think anything of it. But one night coming back from rehearsal, I got back into my room, and I got a call from one of my residents, one of them, and she's crying, and she's saying, Stavro, I kept telling you our room, our whole, you know, the suite itself, right, the 4-person suite,
right,
is haunted. Like, can you please come here?
Oh my God.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what the hell do you want me to do? Like, you know, what do you want me?
I'm not a priest or something.
Right. Well, it's funny you say that part. I'll get into that in a second. But I go to the room, and for you, I'm not sure how many times you've been in Barry. For people listening who've never been to Barry, you know, when you walk in, you immediately walk into a living area.
Right.
And you have 2 doors that go into bedroom A and then bedroom B. In between those bedrooms is the little hallway that has the bathroom, right? The bathroom, shower room, and whatnot.
Right.
So it's like they have doors that get into those as well. So it's that little hall. So I walk in to the living area, and it's 3 of the girls. 1 girl wasn't really around, but 3 girls, my residents, and they were all freaking out. And I was like, you know, I was like, well, what's going on? What's wrong? And basically they said, Stavro, in room A, the ghost is there.
Oh.
There is somebody there, and we need your help. And I was like, okay, what do you want me to do? One of the residents, their mom went to France, like previously before that, and actually got holy water.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and asked me to bless the room. And I was like, am I like allowed to do this? Is this allowed?
Am I qualified?
Right, literally. So I was like, okay, if this will make you feel better, I can go to bed 100%. I'll do it right now. So I walked in. I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, there's no way this is actually real. Like, I really thought I was getting pranked.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and when you immediately walk in, you've got the 2 sets of dressers for each each resident in that room.
Mm-hmm.
So I opened the first one, and I'm going to start, like blessing the room. And how I remember blessing in a sense was my mom would do this with all our businesses. She would drive around and then like make a cross with the holy water. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to do that.
Right. Go with what you know.
Whenever I opened the doors, the other dresser shook.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay, maybe I opened it too hard. I don't know. I'm probably freaking out at that moment. So I probably just opened it really hard and shook the other one, whatever. I quote unquote blessed the first dresser. And I opened the second one, just one of the doors, the double door.
Mm-hmm.
I opened one of the doors, and this rush of cold air just passes by me to my right.
Oh.
And as it rushes by, you can hear like a little girl laughing.
Nope, absolutely
and I was like,
not.
what the hell just happened? So immediately my thought was one of my 3 residents were fucking with me. I hope I can guess. Were messing with me. And I ran back out to the living area, and I'm staring at them. I'm like, "What? Why are you guys laughing? Who's laughing?" And they're all sitting there crying. Like, at this point, they were crying. Because they knew I just freaked out at something. So I was like, none of them. It wasn't any of them. What's interesting is that little hall in between the rooms, each room has a door to get in there, right?
Yeah.
They were both open. So I went back into A, and I was like, okay, she must have gone through this way. I don't know. I went back into the living room, and I said, let me get inside through room B. And I went inside room B, and all of a sudden, that hall bathroom door from room B is shut.
Ooh.
We didn't hear it shut, and those doors are loud as hell, so you'll know when it shuts. That door did not shut without something happening to it. And so we got into the hall, that little opening that door for room B. The shower door was closed. One of the girls was with me, and she said, there's no way that door shut because I just took a shower.
Yeah.
And I left it open to fan out. And so we opened the door, and there's nothing there. And I blessed the entire room, and I walk out, and I never hear anything about it again.
Oh my God.
It was insane.
Oh my God, that is scary.
Like I said, walking back out just to see if they were laughing, because it truly felt like, even though I knew the laughter came from my opposite ear, I was like, there's still no way it wasn't one of them.
Sure. Yeah, your brain is trying to, think logically about it, but...
Right, make sense of it, and there was no sense-making of it. Like, you could not. And the fact that I can look through the hall and between the rooms and see that both doors are open, I can see through both, and then going into room B and all of a sudden that door is shut into the bathroom, how? So that was probably my scariest, I guess, ghost encounter in a sense that really made me think, okay, maybe the people that do the ghost tours and whatnot, maybe they're not bullshitting as much as I thought.
Right. What are your thoughts?
When he said, what did he say? He said, when he went into the other room and the door was closed, my entire body was chills.
And those dorms they probably haven't done anything to it since the early 90s. So the doors, when you open and close any of the doors, the bathroom door, the room, individual room doors, it's like insanely loud. There's no way it wouldn't have made a bang or something.
Sure.
That freaked me out too, having been in the dorms before.
Also, I feel like with dorms have this kind of weird, they're gross, but they're also have this weird sterile feeling to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
a similar vibe as a hospital. That's
Yes.
all I'm saying.
No, Barry and no hate to Barry. Like, it's a cool place because there's tons of common areas and there's big TVs to watch things together. But it has that feeling of a hospital because it's like long ass, like fluorescent lit hallways, and then it's like a big room that looks like it could be a nurse waiting room. Like,
Look,
you know,
I have
that
no
kind of vibe.
allegiances here. I'm gonna come out and say fuck Barry.
Fuck you, Barry.
I do not like that. Look, Charleston is the ghost zone. That's all I'm saying.
The ghost zone.
We're cutting it off from the rest of
Yeah.
society. That story, I had chills. I do not like that.
Can you imagine being an RA?
Stavro.
You barely get
come on.
paid for all your work, and you have to go in and
And you
fucking
have the-
bless the place.
I
The
honestly-
Exorcist ass, like, holy water in here.
I honestly would have been
Oh.
like, as a student, I would have been like, okay, I'm transferring to a different dorm.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Like, I would not have stayed.
Or, like, do I get a raise for blessing a dorm?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And the thing is, like, first of all, let me say thank you so much, Stavro, for sharing that and taking the time to call me today. It was very cool, and it was a good excuse to catch up with an old friend.
Thanks, Stavro.
But, like, knowing him and picturing myself as a young girl, like, afraid in my room and calling my RA to come protect me, because Stavro's like he's like over 6 foot, you
It was
know.
4 girls?
3 girls.
3 girls, 1 wasn't really in the picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all 3 of them were there that day.
Yeah.
But I can
One
imagine
ghost.
your 3, you know, young college girls, you're calling your RA who's like tall and, you know, a tall, like, strapping guy to come protect you from the scary stuff. And then he's freaking out about something. I would have been like, oh no, even he's afraid.
But, like, at the same time, as, like, a college girl, like, I don't think they would have called him if they
No.
weren't scared shitless. Because they're
Absolutely.
like, well, we're independent girls. Like, we don't need anyone's help. But if
Yeah.
they're sitting there, like,
We have to do something.
crying in the corner and are like, please come help,
Yeah.
save us from
And
the
just, like,
ghost.
how do you go to sleep that night?
I
You don't.
would not.
I would go sleep somewhere else.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so
That's crazy. That makes me think of
crazy.
at our college, there was the one dorm hall. I think it was called like Cotton Hall.
Oh, Cotton. Mm-hmm.
And what I remember
Yikes.
of this
Yeah.
This dorm
Welcome to the
building.
Bible Belt.
is it was 1, old, and 2, the haunted dorm on campus. And what I remember being told was that the person who haunts that dorm is a girl who hung herself
I heard that too.
on the shower.
She was a student.
in the shower,
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
like with the on the shower head. She and that's how she hung herself. So that's why all of the shower heads were like lowered in Cotton
What?
Hall, so that
my
no one
God.
could hang themselves.
Holy shit.
That's what
That's dark.
I was told.
Mm-hmm.
I've done no research on this, but it was just like a known thing.
A
And I'm
rumor.
gonna be honest, like, I don't know if it was because I heard that story or not, but every time I did pass that dorm building, I was like, I don't like this. No good.
Yeah.
It is no good.
I never really enjoyed going into Barry. I had a few friends that lived there, but not. I didn't
Yeah.
hang out there a lot, and part of it was like, yeah, the rumors, but it was not
Yeah.
good vibes. Like, it was creepy
Right.
as hell.
No, ma'am.
And I just pretty much everyone I know that lived there was like, oh yeah, I hear kids laughing all the time, or yeah, the marbles, yeah, that happens
And the
every
fact that
day.
it's so specific and so consistent of like, oh yeah, there's the kids, there's the marbles, there's the footsteps.
Yeah.
That's just like a common thing there.
It's crazy.
No,
And
no.
I did have a friend, I wasn't able to reach out to her. I think Charlotte might have told me this, but I think she had told me our freshman or sophomore year that she saw a child
Oh.
in Barry,
Uh-huh.
saw a child run down the hall, and it was late at night, so she was like, who the hell's kid is this?
Right.
Why
That's
is there
not
a
where
child?
kids go. This is a college.
Yeah, so she ran after the kid down into the lobby, basically.
Uh-huh.
Didn't find the kid anywhere and basically told the RAs, like, someone's kid is here. There's a child running around. What do we do? And they were like, oh, yeah there's no
that's the
kids,
ghosts.
but you might see them. It's fine. She was like, what?
Jesus.
I've been like, I need a transfer. Get me
No,
out of
thank
here.
you. Yeah.
Something about ghosts, but like child ghosts.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's unsettling.
Like, okay, I'm trying to think what is the oldest, like, when does it change from being like, you're a ghost, and then like, oh, you're a child ghost. And I want to say it's like,
what's the cutoff point?
I want to say it's like 13, 14. Like, once you get to like 15, 16.
Once you hit puberty.
I'm like, you're just an annoying teenager who just wants to.
At that point, you might as well die, you know?
As a teen, I think everybody kind of wants to die a little bit.
Right.
You know?
Once you pass over into the teenage phase of your life,
everything
it gets
sucks.
less creepy.
Yeah.
But
they also say, you know, children it can be a sign of a demon. You know, if you believe in that kind of thing, that's a big thing, is that demons or bad spirits, whatever you want to call it, whatever you believe, negative spirits will disguise themselves by acting like the ghost of a child. So anything about giggling or, you know, kids asking you to come play, I always, in the back of my mind, I'm like, is that a demon, Maury? Like,
so here's the thing, girl. One, didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Two,
Two.
Did not need to know that.
Did not need to know that.
How did you not know
now
that?
that I know that, I'm terrified.
Well, maybe this is a sneak peek for the next thing I'll talk about, I guess.
I guess.
A lot
Wow.
about
I
that.
didn't think
yes.
I'd get spooked on a ghost podcast.
I thought ghosts were just ghosts. I didn't think ghosts were disguised as other ghost demon.
I just watched too much haunted TV as a child, so I know all of this.
That's like
I have a lot of knowledge about demons.
Wow. Well, that.
So I have
Thank
a few.
God.
Now I'm gonna start hearing children laughing everywhere. Mm-hmm. Speaking of noises from ghosts, I think. Did you listen to this week's episode of My Favorite Murder, the minisode?
Yes.
Did you listen to it, Daniel?
You know, I started listening to it. But I'm gonna let you take the reins on this.
We're
one.
big fans, so that's why we're talking about this.
And I started listening to this episode because...
Well, I had texted Will after I listened to it, and I said, bitch, you better listen to this, because there is a ghosty moment
so I listened,
caught on the podcast.
I think I was going to... Because I started it, and then I was going to work yesterday morning, I think. Or 2 mornings ago. Anyway, not the point. I'm walking to work, and I'm listening to this podcast. It's only a short episode. And... then in the episode, they're recording separately at different locations, but like Skyping, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then I hear the bell.
There's like an old... They're in the middle of talking about something. And there's an old-timey like bell or kind of... It sounds like an old-timey like rotary phone kind of...
And
bring.
it just goes... it's just
okay.
like bring and then done.
Not like a church... Not like a...
Ding dong.
Bell, yeah.
No, not a doorbell. It was kind of like an old-timey phone. And it sounded like it was from another room.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I thought, like someone, one of their, has a background thing. But then they both stopped, and it was in Karen's house, and she was like, guys, I just heard a creepy bell.
I think Georgia was like, was that you?
Yeah.
And then Karen was like, yeah, but I don't have anything.
Yeah, she's like, that's not my doorbell, that's not my phone. And both of her dogs, she was talking about both of her dogs bark at literally, if she breathes weird, they bark at her.
Right.
And this time, there's a bell, and they didn't bark, but they both came over and like got scared and were like kind of freaking out the way dogs do when creepy stuff happens. And then she went to investigate, and she sounded freaked, and I was scared.
When I heard it, I think I was on the train, and when I heard it, I remember being alone on the train, because I think there was me and one other person. The other person had gotten off the train, so it was just me. And then that part happened, and my entire body goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, so if you want to hear something a little spooky,
please listen to this week's episode.
I sure don't. I'm glad I didn't listen now.
I was like, I wasn't. They don't warn you about it, obviously, but like,
yeah, I thought
was
was gonna be like when you guys were like, listen to this most recent episode. I was like, oh, is it gonna be a ghost story? And am I gonna hear something?
You sure did hear something.
I sure did. It was a spooky ghost bell.
But it's sounds. It's a big thing to explore with ghosts because,
Ring-a-ding-ding.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
Right?
Ghost calling.
This is like it's like a backdoor pilot for their My Favorite Ghost podcast.
Yes.
That would be so funny.
What if?
But yeah, that still freaking me out.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think that's all I have. I just want to say thank you to my friends that sent me things. Jenny sent me something. Clyde helped me out. Stavro, Allison. Oh, and thank you to our guest, Daniel.
Oh, me?
Daniel Fetter.
We hadn't gotten there yet. And we started trying to get all this praise. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's been a while since I've gotten any attention. The world has been shut down for months.
What do you mean? What happened? What's going on? Yeah.
Well,
joke.
Remember the Spanish influenza that we were talking about
not
earlier?
familiar with that.
Well, fast forward 100 years.
Hey.
What's up?
Oh, no. Well, yeah. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
For being our first guest.
You're
Woo!
welcome.
Do you want to
Thanks for
promote
having
any
me.
of your social medias?
Oh man.
You don't have to either.
I'm on Twitter. I'm at Daniel Fetts, DanielFetts, and mostly I just document my downward spiral into confusion and alarm at the current state of affairs in the gestures broadly to the entire country sort of way.
Wow. Don't we all?
Yeah.
By the time you hear this, voting will be over.
Right.
So,
right. So I
either-
guess thank you for voting.
Yeah, thank you for voting. If you didn't vote,
Next time,
fuck off.
Yeah.
please vote.
Next time, if there is, I'm not
Hopefully
even gonna
we're
go there.
hopefully we're celebrating.
Go follow us.
Yeah.
Go leave a rating. Leave a review if you're feeling wild.
Yeah, find us on Instagram, Haunt Me Daddy Podcast.
If you have any ghost
Twitter,
stories you
Haunt Me
wanna
Daddy Pod.
share, let us know. Maybe we'll read it off. Maybe that'll spark our next story.
Yeah, please send anything you've got to hauntmedaddy@gmail.com.
Yeah.
We'd love to read it on the show. And until next time, haunt me, Daddy. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Daddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Come play with us.